If this video was made about 2 months ago at the end of the regular season, this would have a lot of very different tone to it. At the end of the regular season, the Miami Heat had multiple bad contracts on their roster. A lot of the players they develop are about to walk for nothing in the offseason, and Tyler Hero is about to be the only real trade asset that they have to give up to make anything better. It looked like they're just going to have to force a rebuild and just blow up this team and rebuild around Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo and probably move on from the Jimmy Butler era. And then the entire NBA playoffs happened. Miami goes on an absolutely insane run behind all their role players deciding to step up at the right time, guys being healthy at the right time. Even when Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo got injured, Kyle Lowry was finally healthy and was able to produce and help his trade value. Duncan Robinson showed that why he got paid $90 million while showing he added even more facets to his game. Bam Adebayo came into his own, and even when Tyler Hero injured, it showed how much the Miami Heat still needed him in certain series with his skill set, which even probably boosted his own trade value too. So let's talk about what the Miami Heat can do this offseason to actually finally get over the hump and actually make themselves NBA champions. Before we get into all of that, I would really ask you guys to hit that like button if you enjoyed this videos. It really does help in the YouTube algorithm to get this video pushed out a lot more. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. We're making content all off season. Last year's off season, this channel did a very big jump with a lot of the videos that we uploaded. A lot of people seem to like, and I hope we can do that on a larger scale this off season. So if you want to help that, please. That Cinderella for the Miami Heat did so much wonders for this team going forward. It's not even funny. Recovering a lot of the trade value for Duncan Robinson and Kyle Lowry, and actually giving Max Strus and Gabe Vincent actual sign and trade value was amazing for the Miami Heat going into this offseason. Now you have a team that, with Bam Adebayo showing just how good he is, with Jimmy Butler showing that he can still turn on a playoff Jimmy aspect of him time in and time out, with X-Poster solidifying himself as the best coach in the NBA. Not only does this make Miami a premier destination for anybody that wants to get traded here, but now it shows that the Miami Heat really only need another piece or two to really be able to get over the hump, especially in the Eastern Conference, where the team like the Boston Celtics don't have a lot of avenues to get a lot better than they are right now. The Philadelphia 76ers, another great team, is about to take a huge regression back with losing James Harden most likely, and the Milwaukee Bucks not really having a lot of assets to trade to get anybody big to make themselves better. The only team that you really need to worry about that's going to get overwhelming better next season with the assets to do it is probably like the New York Knicks, and even in that sense, there's just not a lot of players on the market right now that would give them that much bolstered of a roster to come in. So right now the East is wide open, and the Miami Heat look like the team that can consistently take it if they wanted to and they made the right moves. Now, before we get into what the team can do in trade, let's get into what their salary cap and things look like for them this season. Right now, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about the new CBA that the NBA and the Players Association signed, and I think we've all heard how CJ McCollum, Grant Williams got absolutely cooked in those negotiations. A new stipulation added was the fact that they added a second tax apron and luxury tax, meaning and a lot more penalties if you're over that second tax apron. And we heard a lot about how teams like the Golden State Warriors and the Denver Nuggets team that have homegrown talent that they would like to pay to help them win championships are not getting penalized for doing that, because again, they don't want to see super teams being made like the 2017-2018 Golden State Warriors, which kind of sucks, and it does hurt teams with players that they just want to pay because they have really good players that they help develop. Now, this situation doesn't kill the Miami Heat in a sense, because they're already over the luxury tax, but they're not over that second tax apron. They're still about $6 to $7 million out of it. The problem is that they're already over it by that much with only 9 players signed to the team. And that's the problem here. With Tyler Hero's extension kicking in next season at $27 million, you now have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, and Tyler Hero all making over $25 million. And you have Duncan Robinson right there almost making $20 million. And then you have Victor Oladipo, Caleb Martin, and Nikola Jovic all making under $10 million. So a lot of the Miami Heat's salary cap is eaten up by those 5 players, and that's why those guys are also in a lot of the trade conversations, because they are the salary fillers for those that could really help the Miami Heat not be in the situation. So now, with all that being said, the Miami Heat have been linked to a couple players so far this season and what they look to get to, and they have a lot of needs on this team that could definitely be filled to maximize this team's potential. So let's first talk about what the Miami Heat could need. Now, with Tyler Hero being injured the entire playoffs, it showed that we needed another scorer that can handle the ball and play, make out the pick and roll, a 3-level scorer, hopefully, that can do that job, and Tyler Hero would have definitely helped against the Boston Celtics and against the Denver Nuggets. The problem is that the past 2 years he's been injury prone, and people just don't think that he's good enough as of yet to really fill that role on a championship level team, even though I think the Miami Heat would have a very good chance of winning that title if he was healthy, but that's neither here nor there. That has brought up conversations with Bradley Beal, who, let's be real here, even though Tyler Hero is younger and has a higher ceiling that he could probably get to, Bradley Beal, I think right now, is still technically the better player than him and could definitely help the Miami Heat in those situations. And you also have us being linked to Damian Lillard, but he's repeatedly said that he wants to stay in Portland, and Portland has already said that they're moving forward in looking to try and not rebuild, but maximize the entire time with Dame. So I think we're going to all look to for Dame not to be the player that anybody is going to be able to get. And of course, there's a lot of players out there that are tradable, that are on the market. But the specific trade I am looking for in myself is that trade in Washington with Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis. The Miami Heat right now need 3 things coming this offseason. They need either a large 4 or 5, preferably a 5, so Bam Adebayo can play his true position at the 4 spot. They need a guard that can score on 3 levels, play make, and able to stay healthy during the entire NBA playoffs at a high level. And they need wing depth. 3 things that can hit on very much this summer. One thing that they need is a 4 or a 5, preferably a 5 in my situation, because Bam Adebayo, I think we've said it before, his skill set screams 4, point forward in the NBA. Above average pull-up mid-range jumper that's only going to get better throughout his career. Better attacking the rim, downhill, going at players then with his back to the basket. We see what happened in the Nuggets series. He shot 48% from 2, and even though he was really, really good in that series, him missing a lot of those bunnies and a lot of those floaters and hooks in the lane shows that his game with his back to the basket game needs a lot of work and probably isn't his bread and butter. And also, being the most versatile defender in the NBA, he shouldn't be stuck in a drop defending the pick and roll or switching on, only able to switch out to guys like Jason Tatum, Jamal Murray, or any perimeter guys here and there. He should be able to stick onto those guys and be their matchup for the entire game and only switch on them during pick and roll situations and be a roamer and cause havoc in the passing lanes and as a help side rim protector instead of being the main rim protector in a drop. That is why I am looking at that Kristaps Porzingis trade, because he is a very good rim protector and he can stretch the floor and he has great size. And even if Bam is technically still playing the 5 in that situation, being the main rebounder, that still gives Bam even more reason to be able to stay on the perimeter and defend on the perimeter instead of being stuck in a drop when Kristaps Porzingis is better suited for that situation. That also gives the Miami Heat a all-star level guard that can score on 3 levels and play make at a high level, with only his health being the main question in that situation. Now, to do that, you need to trade Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, and Duncan Robinson in that trade, and it's gonna also take probably 3 or 4 picks. 3 picks, because Miami Heat only have 3 picks to give up. But in that situation, you have a starting lineup of re-signing Gabe Vincent, Bradley Beal at the 2, Jimmy Butler at the 3, Bam at the 4, and Kristaps Porzingis at the 5. With your bench, probably only going 8 or 9 deep, with Victor Oladipo, Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, and Kevin Love being the guys on the bench that most likely are going to get a lot of those minutes. Again, very much a championship level rotation, and that would definitely put the Miami Heat a lot bit over the luxury tax. But at the end of the day, you don't really care about that because you're only going to be over it for 1 season, because Kristaps Porzingis contract is up next season and you don't know if you want to resign him or not. If you win the championship with that, of course you resign him and you just take the hit you get in the luxury tax. It doesn't matter at that point. Or if it doesn't work, you can always just let him walk or look to use him as sign and trade bait at that point. So I don't think that's really the biggest of issues. That fills every single role the Miami Heat need, with a lead guard and a 4 or 5 that can really play well and help Bam push him to the 4 spot. Another way this offseason can go is that a lot of people have been saying that the Miami Heat can get Bradley Beal because of his enormous contract. You can pick him up without having to look to give up Tyler Hero. And in that case, you would be trading Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson, who in combination make more than Bradley Beal. So you'd still be technically under the luxury tax next season and even more under it. And you still now have Tyler Hero and probably 2 more draft picks that you can probably use to go after another big wing or a guy that can play the 4, i.e. somebody like OG Anunoby. Again, giving the Miami Heat a 4 that can shoot the 3 and defend at a very high level on the perimeter. Again, Bam would be in the drop, but he's already shown he's a top 3 center, even if he is forced to play center when he's not. So I guess you just got to live with it at that point. And it gives the Miami Heat, again, a very, very good 3-level scorer that can play make. Again, putting the Miami Heat as I think the championship favorites in the East at that point. Again, you still have the same bench of Victor Oladipo, Caleb Martin, Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, and Kevin Love. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about using Gabe Vincent or Max Strus as sign and trade bait, and I think the only real one you want to try to use that as sign and trade material is Max Strus. If you're gonna get Bradley Beal, or you're gonna get Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis, or Bradley Beal and OG Anunoby, or any combination of those, you're going to still need a point guard. And Gabe has shown that he is a very low mistake, high value point guard that can still play defense at a pretty high level. Shows a lot of effort on that end of the floor, plays like his life depends on it, and is a very capable shooter and playmaker in the pick and roll. So with that being said, Max Strus is really the only guy I would see you can use as sign and trade bait, and I don't even know what the market would look like for him as sign and trade bait, because out of everybody in the Miami Heat, I think he has the least trade value now with how bad he played in the finals, and honestly how basically okay he played throughout the NBA playoffs. Not as great as everybody else on this roster. The last way this offseason can go is we just run it back again, the same roster, which I think out of every single offseason in the last 4 years with Jimmy Butler, this is the least likely you actually see that happen, especially with the Miami Heat making as far as they can and show that they can definitely run the East if they wanted to, if they just had the talent to do it. I think the Miami Heat definitely makes the moves possible to actually get the players they need to get over that hump. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think that these moves are what's going to push the Miami Heat over the edge in the Eastern Conference and be able to actually beat anybody that comes out the West? Do you think there's other moves the Miami Heat can make that can actually be better? I've heard a lot of people talk about trading for Brook Lopez or Naz Reid, and the problem with that is I'm pretty sure Naz Reid is going to get that a large enough contract from the Minnesota Timberwolves that either makes him stay or somebody else is going to throw a bag at him that we can't match, and he's just not going to come here. And for Brook Lopez, again, that's another person that's going to get a lot of money that we can't just sign outright. He's going to have to be sign and trade. And one, we have to have something that the Milwaukee Bucks want. And two, the Milwaukee Bucks would have to want to actually help us get Brook Lopez, which they're not going to do. I think people forget the fact that Kevin Love almost didn't come here because Cleveland didn't want to buy him out because they knew Miami was going to pick him up. You don't help conference rivals in those situations. So, overall, I do think this offseason only going in those two ways, where either Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, or a combination of Bradley Beal, OG Anunoby, or something like that actually happens, and not anything out of the way, because even though situations like that is not likely for the Miami Heat, in getting two of those guys, it's even less likely to get anybody else. So with that being said, this is FLB. Let me know you guys in the comment section down below, but I'm out.